Okay, nice. So again, welcome to this session. This session is entitled "To Guide or Not to Guide." That is the question. Now, mainly the session focuses on presenting language, which is a topic that every teacher needs. I mean, there is no escape that a language teacher can avoid presenting language as part of what he or she does on a daily basis, because all of us are language teachers. And if you're a language teacher and you don't know how to present language, well, that is a problem. I mean, no doubt. And this is the topic of this session. The topic of this session is how to present language. And I'll be talking about why we call the session "To Guide or Not to Guide." So we're going to come to that part now. But also let me tell you that, again, as I said, this session is very important because it's related to something that you do on a daily basis. That is one thing. Now, how am I going to run this session? You will notice that you are not allowed to unmute yourself. This is for the sake of the session management and the big number. Well, usually I don't do that, but I do that in big sessions. But don't worry, because there will be discussions, and sometimes I'll be asking you to say your opinions in the chat box, and I'll be reading your opinions and responding. Also, sometime I'll be asking you to raise your hand, and I'll choose someone and give him the floor or give her the floor to speak, and then I'll be listening to your opinion and commenting on that, right? So don't worry about this as well. As for the material or the PPT, the PowerPoint slide I'm going to use in this session, I'll be sending that to you directly after the session is over, so you'll find it on the WhatsApp group. Okie dokie. So let me start this off by a very good question, which is to guide or not to guide. That is the question. Now, and the question is, guidance has always been a topic of discussion in ELT, in English language teaching history. So people were commenting all the time on the amount of guidance that the teacher should provide when presenting language. How much guidance should I give to students? And that is a good question to start with. And I'll be happy to read your answers in the chat box. How much guidance do you think we should give to students, my friends? So you can write, okay, your opinions in the chat box, and I can have a look at that and comment on it. Right. Let me bring my pen to take notes on some of the things you write. Okay, here we are. How much, again, the question is, how much guidance should we give? Okay. Okay. Well, I can see that Abdurrahman Al-Mahdi is saying it depends on topic, students, and the skills. Okay. I can see, well, Mina Fuad is saying it depends on the level of my students. So that is Mina. Okay. Okay, good. And Nermeen Abeid is saying on demand and when asked to. So, okay, so Nermeen is, making this more related to students on demand. Right. Well, we'll talk about that. And well, Shazam Mustafa is saying it depends. So, I mean, there is no one good answer for that. That is Shaza, okay, as well. Shaza says it depends. Okay. Not much comments as they'll not be supported to share ideas. Depending on the level, depends on the level, abilities when asked. Okay, give guidance when guidance. Oh, wow, that's Ahmed Ayman. Oh, right. Give guidance when guidance is needed. Give guidance when guidance is needed. Love that. Right. So let me comment quickly on the wonderful ideas here. Okay, again, let's check some of these ideas quickly together. Well, I can see that Abdurrahman said, you know, it depends on the topic, it depends on the students, it depends on the skills, right? While Mina said, well, it depends on the level. That's Mina's opinion. And then Nermeen said, well, on demand, I mean, when the students asked for it, if they ask for guidance, you guide them. But that also, takes us to the question, what if the students didn't ask for guidance? What does that mean? Do we leave them without guidance? Yeah, right. Sheza says it depends. And Ahmed Ayman says, give guidance when guidance is needed. And I would say these last two answers are the best for me. Like Sheza said, it depends. And I said, yeah, it depends, right? Because there is no black or white when it comes to how much guidance you should give to your students. You can't say 100% guidance, or you can say half guidance. You say no guidance. No, you can't do that. It's because it depends. There are so many situations and different situations, and you've got to think more about this. Ahmed is saying, give guidance when guidance is needed. And I really, really love this answer. Because again, as Shiz's answer, it depends. I mean, so there are so many different situations. Okay, right. And that's the topic. So let me share the screen, my friends, and look at this, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the topic of the session, as I said, to guide or not to guide. That is the question. And I would say we're going now, before I talk about when, okay, or when to guide, when not to guide, or, you know, before I answer the question of how much guidance should be given, okay, let me first show you a demo. Well, actually, not only one demo, 3 demos back to back. And in these 3 demos, I'll be presenting language, I'll be teaching. Now, what you need to do is to observe my teaching in every demo carefully. And I will also tell you when the demo is over so that you can bear it in mind and think about it. So you will watch 3 demos, and then I will ask you to write your opinions about the 3 demos after the 3 demos are over. What I want you to focus on is how my presenting of language was different in the 3 demos in terms of guidance. That's what I want you to focus on as a teacher. How much guidance did Shadi give in each demo? That's what I want you to do. So let's start. And in this demo, my friends, I'll be teaching 3 vocabulary items. Well, number 1 is the word nervous. And then after that, I'll move to irritated. And then finally, I'll go to embarrassed. So I'll be teaching these 3 words 3 times in 3 demos. Okay, right. So are you ready? Let's go. Demo number 1, my friends. So switch off as teachers now. You are students. Lovely. So we've got a word that we're going to talk about today, my friends, which is nervous. Well, actually, nervous means, you know, when you are worried or frightened about something and unable to relax. For example, when you are waiting for your exam results, you know, you feel nervous, you feel worried and afraid, right? So that is nervous. Another word is actually irritated. And irritated means feeling annoyed and impatient about something. For example, imagine that you're trying to get a document from a government, body, and then you're waiting for a long time, for hours, right? And then you feel really irritated, right? And again, irritated is kind of very close to the word annoyed, or, right? Then we come to embarrassed. And actually, you are embarrassed when you feel uncomfortable or nervous and worrying about what people think of you, right? For example, because you've made a silly mistake, or because you have to talk or sing in public. Like, for example, if someone, fell in the middle of the street or something, you might feel embarrassed. If you spill the coffee on your clothes, you might feel embarrassed. And that is demo number 1, over. So that was teaching number 1, demo number 1. Now get ready, my friends, for demo number 2. Okay. Let me tell you this story, my friends. I had to go to the dentist yesterday. I had this terrible toothache. It was horrible, my friends. So when I went to the dentist, I kept waiting for a long time in there. And the problem that the assistant kept letting people who came after me to see the doctor first. And again, I was really unhappy about this, and I felt really annoyed. So there is a word to describe my feeling in English. It's a word that starts with an I. So can you tell me what this word is? Can you raise your hand if you can guess it? Okay, use the Zoom application and raise your hand. Let me choose someone to answer this. What is this word when you are really impatient? Okay. Okay, let me go to my friend Muhammad Al-Bindari. Muhammad, what do you think?
I think it's irritated.
Well, very good. So let me ask you some questions, Muhammad. So when you are irritated, are you happy or annoyed?
Yes, I think I'm annoyed.
Okay. Are you patient or impatient?
Impatient, I think.
Very good, very good. And one last question. Is that a good feeling or a bad feeling?
Bad feeling, of course.
Thank you. Excellent, my friend. Now, let me continue the story, ladies and gentlemen. Right. So, yeah. And then finally, the assistant let me in. And, I sit at the chair, waiting for the doctor to check my teeth. And to be honest, when I sit on that chair, my friends, knowing that my teeth will be checked, I felt really, there is a word that describes that feeling in English. It starts with an N. Let me give the floor to Muhammad Samir. Yes, Muhammad?
Yes, I think it's nervous.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much, my friends. Thank you. Yes, the word is nervous. But let me ask you some question, Muhammad. So when someone is nervous, is he angry or afraid?
He is afraid.
Excellent answer. Yes. Right. And again, is he worried or relaxed?
Absolutely, he is worried.
Very good. And is that a positive feeling or a negative feeling?
It's a negative feeling.
Excellent answer. Excellent. Thank you, my friend. Now let me continue the story. When the doctor checked everything, and, he actually treated me and the ache is gone, I went out and the assistant was super nice. She was really good with me. And when I saw that she was treating me really well, I felt, because of what I did before getting in. So I felt, because I was shouting, I was angry. So how did I feel about what I had done? What do you think, Khalid? There is a word for that.
I think embarrassed.
Excellent answer, Khalid. Yeah, I felt embarrassed. So Khalid, when someone feels embarrassed, does his face go red?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, right.
turns reddish.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but let me ask you another question, Khalid. Is it because this person is worried about how people would think of him?
Yeah. His image. About how people sees him may
Yeah,
turn his face reddish and maybe all colors.
yeah, right. Okay. So one last question: is that a positive feeling or a negative feeling?
For sure, negative feeling.
Yeah, excellent, my friend. And ladies and gentlemen, that was demo number 2. So now you've seen 2 demos. Demo number 1, demo number 2. Now let's come to demo number 3. Just let me share my screen. Righty then. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to demo number 3. And as you see here, I've got 3 words: nervous, irritated, and embarrassed. And I have got 3 definitions. Now, what I want you to do is to answer this question by match the right definition to the accurate word. Take your time and raise your hands when you're ready to share. Oh, I can see Abdurrahman Mahdi. Yes, Abdurrahman.
Yes.
Okay. What about nervous?
Worried or frightened about something and unable to relax.
Very good. What about irritated?
Feeling uncomfortable or nervous, worrying about what people think of you. For example, because you have made. Oh no. Sorry, that's embarrassed. Irritated is feeling annoyed and impatient about something.
Very good. And what about embarrassed?
Embarrassed, feeling uncomfortable or nervous and worrying about what people think of you. For example, because you have made a silly mistake or because you have to talk or sing in public.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Thank you, my friend. Right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the 3 demos are over. Now, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, okay, for us together to write comments about the 3 demos. And I want you to do that in the chat box. What do I want you to do exactly? I want you to tell me how much guidance was in demo number 1, demo number 2, and demo number 3. Like, right, 1, okay, this guidance, 2, this guidance, 3, this guidance. I want the amount of guidance. Okay, so please write that in the chat box. I'll be taking notes of your answers. Oh, I can see Abdurrahman Mahdi saying, right, okay. Abdurrahman Mahdi is saying the first one is deductive, the second one is communicative, and the third one is inductive. Okay, let me see. And then I've got Samih Ali. Samih Ali is talking about, okay, 1, explanation, that's Samih. And then 2, guided discovery. And then Samih is saying that 3 is okay, guided. He said that, self-guided discovery. Okay. And then I have Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is saying, that's Muhammad Ali is saying what? He's saying that number 1, explain. That's what Muhammad Ali is saying. And then he's saying that number 2 is guided discovery. And then number 3 is self-guided. Okay. discovery, right? And okay. And then Sheza is saying what? Sheza is saying number one is guided. And then she says number two is guided discovery. Well, that's Sheza. And then she's saying three, not guided, right? Okay, right. So let me handle some of these opinions quickly here. So, one, Abdurrahman said about the first one is deductive, and deductive is an ELT term that means direct. That's what it means. And he's describing my first demo as a direct demo. What does that mean? It means that my teaching was direct teaching. And he is absolutely right about this. Yeah. My teaching in the first demo was really direct. Nothing was hidden. I was just saying it. It was kind of, let me tell you about nervous. Nervous means 1, 2, 3. And then I give an example. That was my teaching in the first demo. So, I mean, nothing was hidden from students. I was saying it all, right? And then we have his answer for the second one. He said communicative. And I loved the comment, actually, because, yeah, there was a sort of communication between me and the students in the second one. Because you feel that in the first one, it was a kind of a monologue, but in the second one, there was a kind of dialogue, because I was telling the story and then I was eliciting and then you were answering, and then I was asking you concept checking questions and you were answering my questions. It was kind of dialogue. And then he said that 3 is inductive. Well, I would say inductive means indirect as well, but who said that number 2 was not indirect? It was inductive as well. So here is where the confusion comes, that number 2 was inductive and number 3 is inductive as well. Right. Now, let me come now to another opinion. Someone said number 1 is explanation. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, that was explanation, was direct, was telling. And someone else said it was guided discovery about number 2. Yeah, it was guided discovery. Why do we call it guided? Because my guidance was there. I was always guiding you and asking you questions that would lead you to the answer. So I was doing this. And then he said 3 is self-guided. I would call it self-directed discovery. Okay. It was because I left my students on their own. I did nothing. And they've just, I left them to do everything on their own. Good. Now, let me go to a couple more opinion. Muhammad Ali, I guess, also same answer as the previous one. And then Sheza said the first one is guided. And the second one is guided discovery. The third one is not guided. I agree with her for 2 and 3. I say, yeah, 2 is guided discovery. 3, there was no guidance. But 1, no, not guided. She said guided. Oh, yeah, but guided is a bit, here confusing. So you might have said, or you could have said fully guided because it was the teacher only. So now let's talk now and let me give you feedback on these 3 demos, differentiating between the 3 of them. And let me share the screen, my friends. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to presenting language, we have 3 main techniques for presenting language. Number 1 is explanation, which was demo number 1. Number 2 is guided discovery, okay, sorry about that. So again, number 1 is explanation, and number 2 is guided discovery, and then number 3 is self-directed discovery. So 3 ways, my friends, of teaching language. Right, okay, okie dokie. Now, how are these 3 different? Let's talk about this. So if you look at this wonderful chart here, and we have here explanation, and then we have guided discovery, and then we have self-directed discovery. Now, in terms of interaction, and when we use this term interaction in teaching, we mean who is talking to who in a classroom. That is what interaction means. Who is talking to who? And then I say that explanation is plenary. What is plenary? It is what is happening right now, because now I'm talking to you. That is plenary, right? But it's not, the type of plenary where, in demo number 1, it wasn't the kind of plenary where you talk to me and I talk to you. No, I was just talking to you. It was a monologue. But what about guided discovery? And what about self-directed discovery? That is what I want you to write me in the chat box. So let me listen to your opinions here. Okay, Shayma Mohammed is saying dialogue. I guess she means by that guided discovery. Okay, we'll see about that, Shayma. Right, waiting for more opinion. What about the interaction patterns for guided discovery and self-directed discovery? Shayma is saying about guided discovery that it's dialogic. Well, we'll talk about it. More opinions? Okay. Khalid is saying about guided discovery, it's a discussion. And then Abdurrahman Mahdi is saying kind of storytelling on guided discovery. Someone else, Shayma, is saying communicative, Shayma said, and then Khalid Talat is saying guided, okay? And Amin Muhsin saying situational. Yeah, it was situational. I mean, I love that, yeah, because I gave you a situation. And yes, I agree with the person who said storytelling. Mus'ab Rashad is, someone is saying controlled practice, or I'll have to disagree with that because that was a presentation, not a practice. Someone is saying context. There was a context because you have to contextualize language, but it wasn't only context. There was contextualization, elicitation, concept checking. So these three elements were there. Reham saying communicate. I love that. I would say, my friends, yes, you're right. It was plenary, like explanation, but the difference between guided discovery here and explanation is that guided discovery is dialogic. You talk with the students, you ask and wait for answers, and you confirm their answers, or you say no, that's not right, and then and this is what happens. So, my friends, explanation is kind of plenary and monologue, but guided discovery is plenary as well, but different plenary. It's dialogue, it's communicative, right? Love that. Now, what about self-directed discovery? What about the interaction pattern? Please write me in the chat box. Okay, and I can see, Iman, you're talking here about Iman is saying that demo number 1 is teacher-centered. And then she said, demo number 2 is semi-learner-centered. And then demo 3 is totally learner-centered. And I would say we're going to come to the point of centeredness here in this chart, my friend. Okay, so, and then we're going to talk about it. So don't worry, that's something that we will discuss as well. Okay, student-centered. Someone is saying about self-directed discovery. Student-centered. So saying individual, group work, pair work, final. Okay, so again, now self-directed discovery. I would say I agree with people who said student-centered. I would say, yeah, of course. It can be, my friends, individual. How? Like, I can give an activity to students and ask them to do it on their own. And then after that, I'd say, okay, let's do, pair work. Okay, let's move to pair work. And let's move to group work after that. So kind of they work together, they check in pairs, or I get them to work in groups. So it can be individual, it can be pair work, it can be group work, and all in all, it is a student-centered. Students are doing it on their own. So that when it comes to explanation. Now, when it comes to time, we say that guided discovery is kind of time-consuming. But what about the other two? What about explanation and self-directed discovery? Think about them and write me your answers in the chat box. Shema is saying explanation is kind of time-saving, as only teacher talks. Okay. Other opinions? And then someone is saying that no, demo 1 is time consuming. That's okay. So we've got now two opposing opinions. Someone is saying it's time saving, and someone is saying that no, it's time consuming. Now let's check that. And I would say it is time saving for sure. It is time saving. Think about demo 1 and demo 2. In demo 2, I had to come up with a story to contextualize the language and then to elicit the target language from students and to check my students' concept regarding this target language. Well, this is time consuming, but it's not bad. Yes, time consuming, but that time was actually important, right? However, explanation is time saving because all what you do is say the word and its definition, it's end of story. That's it. You're just telling, you're not asking, there is no conversation. And that's also the downside of explanation. The good part is it's time saving, it's quick. But the downside of it, that is, students are not sharing at all. Right. Now let's come to the last one, which is self-directed discovery. What about it in terms of, saving time? Someone is saying kind of in between time saving and time consuming, depending on the level of students. I love that. This is Abdurrahman al-Mahdi saying that. Yeah, I'm a very respected opinion as well. Yeah, sometimes, self-directed discovery can be time consuming. Sometimes, depend on how good students are. I love that. Khalid is saying self-directed is time consuming too. Time consuming more people. Last one is extra time saving. That's what Dua is saying. Well, I would say it can be time consuming. It can be time consuming. If you're going to give an activity to students and then they do it and then they check in pairs and then you give them feedback, of course. But however, in terms of if we're going to arrange, I guess, sometimes self-directed discovery can be less time consuming than guided discovery. But again, I would go with what Abdurrahman said. It depends on how good students are. But let's agree that guided discovery and self-directed discovery are more time consuming than explanation. But talking about guidance, now we said that self-directed discovery is zero guidance. And the reason why you say it's zero guidance is you're not explaining. You're turning your target language into a question like, boom, here you are. Okay, answer this. You know what I mean? Like, deal with it. And then when they finish answering, you get them to check in pairs and then you give them your opinions. What about number 1, number 2, number 3? So no guidance because the teacher is not helping. But what about guided discovery and what about explanation? I love to see your comments in a chat box. I have Ghada Sharqawi. Ghada is saying last one works with the students with high levels. Well, Ghada, I would say it depends, my friends, on how difficult your question is. Actually, the 3 strategies can work with all levels of students. It depends on what sort of language are we testing or what sort of language are we asking students, to talk about or to answer. But I can tell you, because again, you can even use it with elementary and A1 students, because it can be a simple matching activity where they have, 3 pictures of different objects and they match them to their meanings, right? So self-directed discovery can be super duper easy as well, right? Shaymat Muhammad is saying number one is definitely full guidance. Okay, and Nurhan also Hussein saying 100% guidance. Okay, Shaza is saying number one is fully guided. And yeah, I love your answers here. Very good, my friends. Yes, full guidance for explanation. Yeah, full guidance. That's a very good answer. Why full guidance? Just think about what you do as a teacher. You do everything. The students, do nothing. For example, you're coming to teach the word cup, or the word glass, or the word book, and you show, or the word mobile, and you show your students a mobile. That's a mobile, and then that you say it. End of story. So full guidance. The students are doing nothing on their own, right? And then, but what about the second one? I have here Shayma is saying semi-guided. I love that. I love that. That's why we call it guided discovery. Yeah, it's not full guidance, it's some guidance, or semi-guided, or half guidance, you name it, right? So again, so when it comes to these three demos, explanation, full guidance, guided discovery, some guidance, and self-directed discovery, no guidance. Now, in terms of TTT, teacher talk time, what about guided discovery? And what about self-directed discovery? What would you say about them? I'm waiting for your comments, my friends. Let's see. Okay. Abdurrahman is saying about number two is TTT and STT. And then for three, someone is saying, okay, wait a minute, let me share it again. Someone is saying STT. Right. And then, Shaymat Muhammad. Oh, I love that, Shaymat. Okay. Right. Shaymat Muhammad is saying QTT and STT. Okay, and let me spend some time here with what Shaymat said. Look, Shaymat said here for guided discovery, it's QTT. And QTT stands for what? Who knows? Who can write me what QTT stands for? What is that? QTT. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, not CCQs, no, QTT. Quality teacher time. I love that. Thank you so much, my friend. I'm sorry that this wonderful person is logging with no name, but thank you so much. Wonderful answer. I would say yes, QTT, quality teacher talk. So the first one is TTT. That's, the teacher is like kind of doing everything. QTT is quality teacher talk. Why do we call it quality teacher talk? It's because it's the teacher is talking, but that's important talking. That's necessary talking, right? And for the last one, it's actually STT, student talking time, which is also really positive because we love the students to discuss and talk together because that makes them better English speakers. Lovely, love that. Okay, now let's go to the order. And in guided discovery, we have examples to rules, examples to rules. What about the others? And let me see your opinions in the chat box. Let's see some stuff. What do we have here? So in guided discovery, move from examples to one, which means, it means what? Look at what I did in guided discovery. I started by giving you an example of me at a what? At the dentist's, right? And the situation. And then from the situation, we elicited. And then, so examples came out. Right. So someone is saying about the first one, rules to examples, that's Suhaila. And then in 3, she said, students conduct the rules. I mean, they come up with the rules. I love that. I love that. Okay, we'll talk about it, Suhaila. Thank you so much. Right, and then let's see. Nurhan is saying that in number 3 examples only. We'll discuss that, Nurhan. And then I have Nada Ale. Nada Ale is saying demo number 1, rules. And then she's saying demo number 2, examples. Okay, let's talk. First, in demo number 1, which is the explanation part, actually what happens, we start with the rules. And then we move to examples. And in our scenario, if we're talking about teaching vocabulary, you start with the definition, and then you give them an example, right? Again, in grammar, you'll be telling them about the rule, and you give them also an example. Now, self-directed discovery, that's a confusing one, because it can be both. So I might say, Shadi, how? Yeah, I'll tell you. Sometimes you can give the rules written to your students. Like you would say, I want you to read about these rules and answer these questions. And then in the discussion, you give them to discuss with the partners. And then after that, you give feedback. And then you start discussing why this is correct or incorrect and all that stuff. So that is possible. Sometimes in self-directed discovery, no, you don't give them the rules. You give them actually examples. Okay, and you give them to answer, and then they extract the rules from these examples. That's why it can be both. So it can be rules to examples or examples to rules. It depends on how you design that part. Right, moving to the center. And we said that self-directed discovery is student-centered. It is because they're doing everything on their own. But what about explanation? What about guided discovery? So, please write about this in the chat box. Let me see what you think. Okay. I like to see Basma Sayed is saying number 1 is teacher-centered. Muhammad Ali is saying that number 1 and number 2, both of them are teacher-centered. And Dua Abbas is saying teacher-centered as well. That's Hala Magdi's opinion. Oh, so many people think that's number 1 is teacher-centered. True, yeah, the teacher is doing everything. But what about guided discovery? Some people say that guided discovery is teacher-centered as well. And I say, yeah, as long as the teacher is in there in the activity, is teacher-centered. As long as you're there, okay, so it is teacher-centered, no doubt, right? Even if it is a dialogue between you and your students, it's still teacher-centered. It's only student-centered when the students are on their own, doing their own thing, and you're not there, you're just monitoring. So when you're just monitoring and students are on their own, that's when you say, oh yeah, that's kind of student-centered now. Right. In terms of reputation, explanation is notorious. And I would love to ask you why explanation is notorious, why it has bad reputation sometimes. Where does this come from? Can you give me some of your opinions in the chat box? Well, let's look at that. Think about this, my friends. I'll give you some time to write me your opinions about that. Why, explanation is sometimes notorious. That's a very good question here. Let's see. Okay, right. Let me see some of the stuff you wrote in there. And, oh, Dina said maybe boring. Oh, I love that, Dina. Dina said maybe boring. And I would say, oh my goodness, yes, Dina. If you're the only one speaking when presenting language, it's bloody boring. So yeah, I would go to that. And then we have, Yasmin Aouni said, students are passive. Yes, it's just, they're doing nothing. The teacher is the one doing everything, right? So, yeah, I mean, students are kind of passive. Yeah, I give you that, right? Yeah. And then, Iman is saying it focuses on the receptive knowledge and the students are passive. Yeah, passive is, it's the thing here, right? Yeah. So most of, it's jug and mug. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's just, students are vessels, just, they're waiting for information to be poured there, right? It's one-sided. That's Samat Mansour. Yeah, I agree, Samat. Okay, well, I mean, greatest stuff. I say, yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why explanation is notorious is because, it's boring, and because also students are passive. But above all, the best reason why explanation is notorious because it is what some teachers, resort to every time they want to present language. Like, for God's sake, whenever they come to the classroom, they have only one way of presenting language: explanation. That's it. That's what they do. Nothing else. And they do it like every time. But if it is used when it is needed, fine. But the problem is that many teachers don't use it when they need it. No, they use it, all the way. And of course, overuse of anything makes it evil. Right. So let me go back here to our chart. But when it comes to guided discovery, I would say it's famous, and self-directed discovery, famous as well. Those, have good reputations. Now, when it comes to modernity, we say that guided discovery is modern. What about explanation and self-directed? What do you think about these two? Can you write me in the chat box? And I have here my friend Abdurrahman Abul Wafa, and as I used to call him in a TEFL course, Abul Wafa. Well, I would say he said old-fashioned. I agree. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to explanation, it's kind of old-fashioned. Bessemer Said is saying traditional. Yeah. Shaymat Said as well, saying traditional. Someone is saying old. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, you got that right. I would say, yeah, that's traditional, old-fashioned, you name it, explanation. And again, I'm not saying it is evil. It will be needed at times. And as I said, it might be evil if you overuse it. And that applies to everything, right? But what about self-directed discovery? How do you see it? Do you see it as modern or what? And Shaymat Muhammad is saying modern. Minnatullah is saying modern. Okay, most people are saying modern. I say, yes, you are right about that. Finally, in this lovely chart, directness. How much direct each style is, each technique is. Let's go to explanation. And Muhammad Ali is saying that number one is deductive, which means direct. And he's saying that number three is inductive, which means indirect. Okay, let me say that. And I would say explanation, yes, it is deductive, and deductive means it is direct. But guided discovery is inductive, indirect. Why indirect? Because you don't tell, you ask. And when you ask, it's not direct. Because you ask, you wait for an answer, and this is how it goes, right? But what about self-directed discovery? Someone is saying that self-directed, this is Sayed is saying self-directed discovery, inductive. And someone is saying, this is Tariq Awad is saying it could be deductive or inductive. And I would say, yes, it can be this or that. How? Well, because sometimes you give your students the rules, they read it. If you give them the rules, well, that's direct, right? They read the rules, they know the rules, okay? And then the answer, okay? But sometimes you can make it, inductive. How? You give them examples or a question, and then they come up with the rules themselves. So it depends on how you're going okay, to design your self-directed discovery task. Right. Now, let's come to the following point in our presentation today. Some people, again, when we talk about guided discovery versus self-directed discovery versus explanation, they say, Shadi, are these frameworks that we can use, okay? And I would say, my friends, no, these are not frameworks. These, these are techniques of presenting language. And presenting language can be one stage inside a framework. So look at these three frameworks here. We have present, practice, produce, which is a framework of presenting language. Test, teach, test. That's another framework of presenting language. Text-based presentation. That is a third framework for presenting language. So three different ones. In present, practice, produce, in test, teach, test, in text-based presentation. And again, if one of you is here and you're thinking to yourself, you're saying, oh, I don't know much about these frameworks, then my advice would be go to our channel on YouTube, which is British E-Training Center. Go to the channel. There is a series of videos called frameworks, and you will find full explanation of all these frameworks, okay? But for now, quickly, these three frameworks are the most famous when it comes to presenting language: the PPP, the TTT, and the TBP, the text-based presentation one. Now, all these three frameworks start with a leading, as you see. And then in present, practice, produce, the first stage is present. Now, as a teacher, when you talk, when you think about present, you need to think about three styles: explanation, guided discovery, self-directed discovery. When you come to test, teach, test, stages go as follows, like leading, and then test, and then teach, and then test. And in the teacher stage, what do you have? What do you get? In the teacher stage, again, you have the three techniques and you choose explanation, guided discovery, or self-directed discovery. And then you come to text-based presentation. And this is where you have leading, exposure, highlighting, clarification, practice, feedback. You go to this clarification part, and you decide which technique you're going to use. Is it going to be guided discovery, self-directed discovery, or explanation? Okay, right. Or maybe a mix of the three, right? It depends. So again, these are not frameworks. These are just different ways of presenting language or clarifying language or teaching language, whatever you name it, right? Now we come to a very important point in our presentation, ladies and gentlemen, which is, are they possible with feedback? So we talked now about these three techniques: guided discovery, self-directed discovery, explanation. Do they apply to feedback? Because we talked about presenting language. Do they apply to feedback? Look at this sentence on the screen, and there is a mistake in it. So it is said by a student. So the student, for example, said, one of my friends have told me this, right? So imagine that this is something that your student said, right? One of my friends have told me this, right? And you want to correct that as a teacher, okay? If you are going to correct it using explanation, how would you do it? Raise your hands if you're ready to that. How would you explain this? How would you correct it using explanation? If you want to answer, raise your hands. Okay, and let me go to Mr. Mahmoud Ashraf, yes?
I would say here we are talking about a fact. So with facts, we use present simple, and we're talking about one person. So when you're using the present simple to talk about one person, you have to use the other form of verbs. You have to use the S form. So you have to say has, not have.
Okay, so
just telling
you. Right. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. Right. I would say again, so as our friend said, it's kind of, telling. All what you would say is to tell your friend, okay, one of my friends have told me this, so this is present perfect simple, as you see, and one of my friends, actually one, it's only one, and when it is one, we don't say have, we say has. So thank you, that sort of explanation. And as you see, it's direct, it's to the point, it's clear, you say it, it's full guidance. Do students say anything? No. Now, my question is, how can you fix that error? How can you correct that error using guided discovery? And I would love to give the floor to Siham Al-Razqi. So Siham, can you deal with that using guided discovery, Siham?
Guided discovery, I would repeat the word one for several times and tell my students may pay attention to me, and they will say it's singular, not plural. Okay, they can fix it by themselves. Okay, I think this is the most appropriate mean for me. I have also tried it several times, and the outcome was great. Okay.
Thank you so much, Siham. Thank you. Well, I would say, yeah, I agree with Siham. That's a wonderful way. I mean, you can say one, hey, come on, what do you think? One, where is the problem? And then, yeah, I mean, students are smart. They say, oh, yeah, yes, and it would work with them, right? Why not? Okay, sometimes you can help them actually in guided discovery, and you can underline the mistake, and you can put, oh, grammar, what do you think, right? And then you discuss with them. Now let's move to self-directed discovery, and let me give the floor, to my friend Rana Hashed. Rana, what do you think? Unmute yourself, Rana.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this time, we may ask a friend to, if he knows what has he done, what has he done the last holiday, as an example. So he will ask him a question, and when he is going to answer it, he will answer it in I have done, etc. Or my friend, my brother, or he can ask him about his brother. My brother has gone to Alex, as an example. So he will remember the rule, and he will correct it in this sense.
So let me try to re-say it to see whether I got your point of view. So you're going to take this and turn it into kind of pair work between students?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I got that. Thank you so much, Rana. Let me listen to another opinion here. Okay, so let me go to Ghada Al-Sharqawi. Ghada, what do you think? How would you fix that error using self-directed discovery?
Okay, I can give them two sentences, the correct one and another one. Both sentences. One of my friends have told me this, and another one of my friends has told me this, and ask them to say which one they will choose and why.
And thank you so much, Ghada. I love that. Well, the example that Ghada gave, well, that I would say, yeah, that's self-directed discovery. Why? Because the students will be on their own, and they will be discussing which sentence is correct, okay, and why. Also, simply what you can do is you can give them the sentence as is, with the underlined part saying G, and then you can say to them, okay, my friends, you've got a list of sentences. Every sentence has a mistake. The mistake has been underlined for you. I want you to check that and try to fix each sentence. Take your time. And once they finish, okay, I want you to check in pairs, see whether your friend's correction, okay, goes with your correction. And then finally, you give feedback. So you say, so what about number one? One of my friends have told me this. What is your correction? Boom, 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 boom. And it goes like that. That would be self-directed discovery. So again, this leads us to this conclusion that also these techniques would work with language feedback. Okay, so you can use also guided discovery or self-directed discovery or explanation, right? And I would say explanation is not evil. You need it when you don't have time, or sometimes when the students are asking you about a piece of language that you haven't, planned to teach. Let me give you a quick situation where explanation would be fantastic. Imagine that you have this lesson that has 20 vocabulary items, and you decided that, oh my God, 20 vocabulary items, I can't teach all that. I have to focus on the most challenging words for my students. So in this 45-minute lesson, I'm going to present only 7 words out of the 20 because these are the most challenging. What about the other words? I'm going to integrate them into activities and questions. So if the students are struggling with any of them, I will say it quickly. And then that's what you do. And then one student, comes up with a question and he says, teacher, I don't understand this word. And this is when you use explanation, because, oh yeah, well, that means blah, blah, blah. So again, that would be very good use of explanation. But again, you're using guided discovery or self-directed discovery in your lesson. But when something comes up and you don't want to waste your time, because again, if you start focusing on other areas in the lesson, you might not have enough time for the practice stage later. And that's when explanation becomes really good. Sometimes, in feedback, if you think that, oh my God, there is no time to give feedback in kind of, there isn't much time left for feedback. And this is when you discuss quickly or say and fix things quickly for your students. However, I always prefer self-directed discovery feedback or guided discovery feedback. One also more thing is, imagine that you use guided discovery, but then one student is still, one student doesn't get it. And you did your best, then explain it. Fair enough, finally, we want students, to understand. So if you did your best with self-directed discovery and guided discovery, and there is one student who doesn't understand that part, well, say it, explain it quickly. Right. Now, I have here a situation. Read it carefully. Okay, and when you're ready, raise your hands. Let's discuss whether it's explanation, guided discovery, or self-directed discovery. Take your time, read it. When you're ready, raise your hands, my friends. Let's start. Let me go to my friend Mus'ad Rashad. Let me try to yes, Mus'ad, unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shadi. I'm sad that I came late, but hopefully I connected the dots correctly. I believe this is self-guided discovery because the students are on their own and they're trying to come up with conclusions depending on just interacting with each other.
Excellent answer. Thank you, my friend. Yes, okay, Mus'ad Rashad is right. That is self-directed because why? Students are on their own. When we read it, we don't see the teacher at all. It says students look at 2 conditional sentences. One is first conditional, one is second conditional, and discuss. So students are doing everything. So if students are doing everything, ladies and gentlemen, that is self-directed discovery. Right now, another scenario. Read it and raise your hand when you're ready. Okay. Let's go to my friend Abdurrahman Al-Mahdi. Abdurrahman, what do you think?
The teacher shows the students a timetable of arrival and elicits the sentence, the flight, blah, blah, blah. I think it's guided discovery.
And I would say, excellent answer. Yes, that is guided discovery. Why? There is elicitation, and elicitation is the start of a discussion. Right, I elicit from students, then I move to concept checking question, and when it becomes dialogic, that's guided discovery. Lovely. Another situation. Read it carefully. Be ready. Raise your hands when you're ready to answer. And let me go to my friend Hisham Hassan or Hassan, I'm not sure. Yes.
Yes, Sham Hassan.
Hisham.
I think it's explanation
Hmm.
because the teacher here writes an examples on the board and he corrects any mistakes. So I think the teacher here needs to explain everything.
Thank you so much, Hisham. And I would say, yes, Hisham is right, because the teacher now is given full guidance. He's correcting, he's talking, right? Wonderful. Good, well spotted, Hisham. Now let me move to another scenario. Again, read it and then raise your hands and we talk about it. Okay, let me go to Salim Rida. Salim, what do you think?
Hey, Dr. Shadi, I think here guided discovery. The teacher guided them towards what he needs, right?
Okay, well, talk. Right, thank you so much, Salim. So let's see whether Salim's opinion was right or wrong. Let me check that. Oh, or let me listen to Muhammad Ayman. Let me try. Okay, yes, Muhammad.
Okay, so Dr. Shadi, I believe that this is an explanation way, because the teacher just drills the words and then wrote them on the board. So he's doing everything while the students are just interacting with him in some kind of way. So I believe that it might be explanation.
Okay, well, let's see, my friends. And the answer is yes, explanation. It's because the teacher drills, that's direct, and then writes the words on the board. Direct as well, marking the stress. He's doing everything and clarifying the pronunciation. So end of the story, like the teacher is doing everything. That is explanation. Now, another scenario. Take your time, read it, raise your hand and tell me what you think. Okay, right. And let me give the floor to my friend Khalid Talat. Khalid, what do you think?
I think it's guided discovery.
Guided discovery. Why do you think it's guided discovery, Khalid?
I think both the teacher and the student take part in the activity. After completing the reading task, the students find a given number of vocabulary items in the text. So they have something to do here.
Thank you, Khalid. I'll check with someone else and see which opinion would be correct. Let me go and check with my friend. Wait a minute. Muhammad Salim. Yes, Muhammad, what do you think, my friend?
Okay, I think this is a self-directed discovery, because the students did everything with their own, without the help from the teacher. They completed their reading. After that, they found the given number of vocabulary, and then they reread the sentence containing these items and try to guess. So each process, they did it with themselves.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Let's see which opinion is correct. I would say yes, self-directed discovery. Because again, look at this. The students find a given number of vocabulary items in the text. Reread. Students again. Reread the sentence containing these items. And try. Who tries? Students again. So everything is done by students. So yeah, that's self-directed discovery. They're on their own. Right. So again, my friends, to sum up, there are, my friends, 3 techniques for presenting language. Either you give it directly, which is explanation, or guided discovery. You turn that into a dialogue between you and students. Or number 3, you use self-directed discovery. You turn your target language into an activity, you give it to students, they do it on their own, and then you give them feedback on it, and you explain and clarify when it is needed. So again, the problem with traditional teaching is many teachers, when they're presenting language, what they do is explanation, explanation, explanation. And they think that when they explain English in English, their teaching is modern. No, it's not about, yes, of course, we have to teach English in English, but it's not the end of the world, If you still teach English in English, but you explain every time you present in language, that's what you do all the time, then your teaching is still traditional, right? Again, now, let me give you some time for Q&A. So if you have a question, please write it to me. If something that is not clear in this session, write it to me in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to respond to your questions, right? So I am preparing. Oh, someone is saying, Musab Rashad, can I attend next time from the very beginning? Yes, you're welcome, my friend. I mean, if you missed some parts, then yes. Okay, Dua Abbas, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the nice words. Thank you, my friends. Shaymat Muhammad says, just want to say something. Just shoot, my friend. Always welcome, Tariq. Always welcome. Oh, thank you, Suhaila. You are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the nice words. Thank you, my friends, for the nice words. Someone is saying, can you send the lecture to our emails, please? I will send the PowerPoint slides first to the WhatsApp group. Then, inshallah, in 1 week, this kind of video will be available on our YouTube channel. So please make sure that you write our YouTube channel it's on the screen. Everything on the channel is for free, and you will find really amazing stuff in there. So I really recommend it for you. Well, not because it's my channel, but you will love it, hopefully, right? You will find something that you can benefit from. Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for the nice words. Thank you. Well, the pleasure is mine, Martis. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, yeah. Ali Saeed is saying, could you please explain more about the QTT? Yes. Well, that's a very good question, Ali. I mean, for a long, long time in ELT, people kept talking about TTT, TTT, TTT. Don't talk too much in class. Don't talk too much in class. And we would say, yeah, I mean, when the teacher talks too much, because when you say too much, it means that this is unnecessary talk. And unnecessary talk eats away from STT, which is a student's talk. And we want students to talk more. But then the problem that some teachers started getting it wrong. So they're kind of obsessed with TTT, and then they forget that there is something called QTT. This is when your talk is really valuable. This is when your talk is really important, right? So don't keep pointing a finger at yourself, when you're clarifying something or getting in a dialogue with your students, because people learn from dialogues and from discussions with the teacher. This is what we call QTT. Just you need to know when it is right to do it. That's all. I hope I answered that. Oh, thank you so much for the other lovely comment. I'm so sorry, so sorry, man, about the connection problems you have. Well, please send me an email and tell me what kind of help you want, and I would respond. Then let me see more question. As I could, yeah. Okay, so saying, Shadi, as I consider myself a beginner in the field of teaching, what would be your advice for people like me to be able to start teaching? What would I do to gain knowledge and confidence while I have nothing now to give? I would say, my friend, start with a TEFL course, start with a level 5 course. That's what you start with. And again, that should be the starting point, and the earlier the better. And I guess you cannot survive out there in the market without a level 5 course in teaching. And level 5 courses in teaching, things like TEFL and CELTA and TESOL, all these courses. And a good TEFL course should have 6 hours of practice, 6 hours of observation. You know, it should be 120-hour course. So that would be my advice to you, my friend, right? So you're welcome to join us if you want. Okay, Suhaila is asking, so in a writing session, should I use a self-directed or oh, wait a minute. Remember that self-directed discovery, guided discovery, and explanation, these 3 terms are used, my friends, with only language lessons. So can we use these techniques in a writing lesson? Yes, if you're doing something related to language inside a writing lesson. So if you're dealing with what we call genre analysis, like for example, you're teaching writing and you feel that your students need some vocabulary for that genre, then you start thinking about how you would introduce that vocabulary. Are you going to use guided discovery, self-directed discovery, or explanation? So that sort of stuff. Okay, so yeah. Thank you so much. They say I'm a maths teacher, but really useful. But yeah, because again, you can think also about, because math is about presenting things and as well, and you can actually benefit from that, because I guess it with some adaptations, okay, I mean, it can work well with teaching maths, because presentation would be part of teaching math, I suppose. Someone is saying that's Abdurrahman Bulwafa. For intermediate level, from your perspective and knowledge, which way is better to teach vocab, guided discovery or self-direct? Sometimes I get to a point where I'm confused to apply this or that. Well, I would say, my friend, it's not a matter of a level, actually, because the 3 can work with all levels, okay? But sometimes you would say, I guess it is easier for me as a teacher, and it would be also lovely for my students to turn this into self-directed, and then I give them comments on that later. Well, I have a very good story for that part. I have a very good situation, and I can create CCQs related to that. I'm going to use guided discovery here. So it's up to you, my friends. Sometimes the target language itself would affect your choice, right? But again, not the level of students, to be honest, because the 3 works with different level. Thank you, Reda. One more. It's someone is saying it's an off-topic question, but what is the difference between reading, listening for details and reading, listening for specific information? Yeah, well, my friend, reading for specific information is about scanning the text for very specific information, like, for example, a number, a name of a person, a name of a city, a name of a country, and you don't actually need to read. You just move your eyes on the text. Like, for example, if I say to you, where was Ahmed Zwail born in Egypt? And then you have a text. I mean, you don't have to read. I mean, you just move your eyes quickly to find a city, and then you say, here, that's it. So that's reading for specific information. But reading for details requires intensive reading. It's because you need to read carefully, right, in order to get the answers. That's the main difference in reading for details and reading for specific information. Someone is asking a question here. That's what's the best level to TOEFL? Are you mean that TOEFL, the test of English as a foreign language, or you mean TEFL? If you're talking about TEFL, then I would say B2 to C1 and more, which is teaching English as a foreign language. If you're talking about the TOEFL, well, it depends on what grade you want to get on the TOEFL test and what the organizations are asking you to, because again, different organizations ask for different grades, so it depends. So I say, Fatima, I'm a French teacher. I think the content is very crucial for us as teachers. Thank you so much, Fatima. It applies to every language, to be honest. So what we talked about today, I mean, can apply to teaching any language. Again, Mahmoud, thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, my friends. It was Nermeen is saying, out of my teaching experience, self-guided tasks are the most preferable for teens, particularly. They love to be heard and given a space. Well, again, I mean, I'm not surprised, because the students love doing things with their own hands. Sometimes when you keep listening for a long time, it's a bit boring. Like, for example, my sessions are completely different from this one. It's because usually I don't have this kind of big number. So the way I'm running this session is completely different from how I run usually my sessions, where people are doing a lot of tasks on their own. Is it possible to offer your followers a free writing session in the near future? Of course, Ali. And by the way, if you go to our channel, there are a lot of, there are about 3 or 4 demo lesson on writing available on our website. So please go there. I hope you can enjoy the videos there. There are so many videos on teaching writing. What are the newest to involve? Okay, speaking of specifics, is there any frameworks to teach ASP, or we just use? No, you use the usual ones, but you just need to be ready, okay, with your preparation, like you know what you're talking about, because sometimes you're teaching English for oil gas engineers, and then you need to be sure that you know what you're talking about. But in terms of frameworks, same frameworks, okay? What is the best way to be a teacher trainer? What is the best way to be a teacher trainer for a fresh graduate in terms of certificate? If you want to be a teacher trainer, step number 1, be on level 7. Try to reach, you have to reach level 7. Okay, and level 7 is like what? Delta from Cambridge Assessment English, Dip TESOL from Trinity College London, an Ofqual level 7 diploma, or an MA in Applied Linguistic or TESOL. That's a level 7. And plus level 7, do a train the trainer course. We run a diploma in teacher training by London Teacher Training College. Okay, so that's what you aim. But again, you have to go up the stairs, step by step. Start with a level 5, then move to level 6, then move to level 7, right? So that's what you need to do in order to be a teacher trainer, right? Or for organization to consider your CV as a teacher trainer, inshallah. Where is the link? Okay, someone is saying, Hussein Atta, where is the link for register? If you haven't registered using a link, Hussein, like the other people, you can send me your details to shadi@britishy.com, right? Does Delta include the same content as CELTA, but in more details, or they're completely different, my friend, completely different. Delta is, Shaza, is on level 7. Level 7 is a research level, like the MA. And Delta is divided into 3 modules. In one module, which is module 1, you've got an exam. And this exam, tests your ability to analyze different aspects in English language teaching, like analyzing course books, analyzing language, analyzing phonology, analyzing ELT books. I mean, it's analyzing tests, So it's all about analysis. That's module 1. Module 2 is about researching, and then turning researches into designed material and using this material in application, right? So it's like research that can be turned into reality. And you deliver 4 teaching practices in Delta Module 2. Then Delta Module 3 is a kind of a research on a specific area in English language teaching. And this research has to be accepted by Cambridge Assessment English. That is for the Delta, which is completely different from level 5, from CELTA. In CELTA or TEFL, all what we want is to get you to teach nicely. That's what we want. But in Delta, we're not looking for that, because we know that you are already good with practice. Because if you're not good with practice, then it's not the right time to do your Delta. You have to be wonderful with your practice. And then you come to the Delta part now, where you start, doing more research. And what is the next step to take after the CELTA? I'm on a CELTA course at the moment and don't really know what to do after that. Well, there are so many things to do. You can sign up for Delta Module 1 preparation course to get ready or to start doing your Delta. You might sign up for a level 6 course like the Cert PT certificate for practicing teachers by Trinity College London. You can sign up for a level 6 diploma in teacher training. Okay, there are also some side courses. One of them is very important before the Delta, which is Grammar for English Teachers, because Grammar for English Teachers prepares you, okay, and upgrades your language to level 7 grammar. So you start understanding the kind of grammar knowledge needed at level 7 before you step in there. That's also a good option. Okay, so there are so many other options that you can do after CELTA. And then someone is saying, Ali Saeed, what should a teacher on a daily basis do to keep enhancing both his teaching techniques and his own language fluency? On a daily basis, I would say reading and watching, receptive skills. So try to read ELT books, and at the same time, also attend input sessions and workshops like these. They're really helpful. So that's something I would say as well. What should a teacher, how can I register to get the certificate? We actually send the certificates to your emails, because you are on the WhatsApp group, because you registered using the link. So we're going to use that to send you the stuff. And let me talk, because I guess Mohammed Salim is asking that. So Mohammed, unmute yourself. Let me ask you a question. Are you there? Mohammed Salim. Can you unmute yourself, Mohammed?
Yes.
Have you registered today on Zoom with your email? When you were logged, Zoom didn't ask for your email.
I logged through the link.
Yeah, I know. When you pressed on the link, Zoom didn't ask for your email.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm checking things. Well, have you registered using our previous link, or you haven't?
Yeah, before that.
Oh, okay. Then don't worry. Then, yeah, this is how we're going to send you the certificate. We'll use the email you inserted, my friend. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful having you in this session. Thank you so much, and see you, inshallah, again. And thank you for attending. Bye-bye.